Okay, the one thing that I wanted to cover in this demonstration is not only pen textures, but also the technique and the idea of how to use a pen. So the pen that I'm using is just a Sharpie pen. The reason why the Sharpie pen is good is because it's actually waterproof. Waterproof is good, especially for any assignment that you might be doing to add watercolor or water paint with your pens. Okay. Another example of a pen would be like a Micron pen, which are also super, super nice. Those are a little bit more a high end than a Sharpie pen, but they work the same. The Micron pens as well also have different sizes to the pen tips. So because we're using a Sharpie pen in this demonstration, our pen tip is not going to change. So I'm going to show you how to make your textures thicker and thinner with the same pen. The first example I want to talk to you about is called hatching. So go ahead and write hatching down. You can draw yourself a little thumbnail box for hatching so that I'm going to teach you how to do a quick hatching technique. Now, we know that when we are dealing with pen, obviously we can't make the textures go lighter or darker based on our pressure because it's ink and that's not going to change. But what we can do is we can actually make our lines or any kind of texture or shapes that we create, we can do that by making them more concentrated and thicker to make them darker. We can also make them look lighter by using less lines. When we talk about hatching, hatching is literally just lines going in one direction. So I'm actually using the side of my pen. I'm not taking my pen up like this. I'm using the side of my pen, and I'm going to take this line and this edge of this box right here, and I'm going to try to make this look darker and get lighter as I come across. I'm going to put my pen tip down, and I'm almost like flicking my wrist. Now, if you're really quiet and you listen, you can hear the pen move from that line across. And you can see that it's naturally getting lighter to the other side of the box. That is called hatching. Now, this is the incorrect way to do hatching. Hand up, and this. You do not hear that sound anymore. And what I've done is I have created more of a pattern in lines. I haven't really created any value texture. This is one way to create pen drawings, but we are trying to create form. And this would be a better way and a proper way to create form on our particular assignment. This is not incorrect, but it is incorrect for how I am wanting you to define form and work with your hatching. So you can see the difference between the two. The next thing that I want to show you is called cross hatching. So again, we can draw another box. Cross hatching is similar to hatching, except you're crossing. So you're going to go with your hatching first. And then to cross, you're going to go here and do literally crossing. And you can see here that I am even making some of the pencil or the pen strokes a little shorter. So you can see that that box now is um, going from dark to light. Now, again, here's a cross hatching, pen up, and not, it looks to me to be a little bit more cartoony, which again is not a bad thing. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. This is more of just kind of like a boxy, stiff pattern. It doesn't really give us more of an illusion of a better rendering or shape or form. Okay. All right. So this one's not as good. This one's not as good. This is our goals that we want to work towards. All right. Let's try stippling. Okay. Stippling is very, very time consuming, but it also would almost create like a smoother texture. So I would assume that hatching and cross hatching, more so hatching, would be more of like a fur texture, um, or even grass. Okay. Stippling would be something that I would use on more of like a smoother surface, possibly, or tinier surfaces. So like stippling would be good in like eyes or nose. Like I'm thinking animals, so like maybe animal eyes or animal noses would be good. So stippling is dots. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your pen and you are going to put a bunch of dots in the corner. And as you come away from that corner, you are going to make less dots. Now, the other thing about doing stippling is we definitely do not pound the pen into the paper. That is incorrect. That is going to really not make a dot. That's making like a weird mark. Okay. It also is going to ruin the pens. So we have to make sure that we're not only doing the technique correctly, but also using the tool correctly. So you do not need to press very, very hard at all to make marks with the stippling. And then again, you would just make it be less as it comes out. I think also stippling would be nice for like stone or coral, would be kind of cool. Anything, if you think about it, anything that would be kind of porous on the surface might look kind of nice in stippling. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to show you is called calligraphic line. And what you could do with a calligraphic line, you could do this one of two ways. You can start with the edge of your pen, and it'll kind of make it a little thinner and lighter. And actually, believe it or not, if you run into um, pens that are kind of older pens that are kind of dried out, pen techniques are really nice when you run into a pen that is not brand new, because it already gives you kind of the skipping motion, which helps create lights and darks. So calligraphic line is a line that goes from thick to thin. So if you use the edge, it kind of naturally makes it thick to thin. Okay, so I'm kind of just drawing lines here that go from thick to thin. Calligraphic line would be good, maybe to start, not necessarily an outline, but definitely if you were to draw and shade, and let's say this line was thicker, the edge was thicker here and it made it darker and then thinner again, you could actually take that calligraphic line and you could probably shade that and turn it into a hatching shape. So you can see that that the thicker part of the calligraphic line could actually be shaded out and kind of blended out, just like we would have done with a pencil. And with this being a thinner line, then I could just make lighter shading against it as well. Okay, so calligraphic line is a line that goes from thick to thin, and you can manipulate that line to actually shade that away as well. I think that most of your stuff is going to be hatching, cross hatching, and stippling. I don't know that on the particular assignment we might not really use too much of calligraphic line, because I don't really want you guys outlining. These should be done as practice in your sketchbook.